Hi guys, Luton here, welcome back to City Skylines. Now this is a one-off episode, so welcome to ASTURIAS. In between doing the actual live streams, I very regularly just make towns myself because it's very enjoyable, and some evenings when I sit down I think I can stream later or I can make some videos later, and then I look at the time and realise that 5 or 6 hours have gone past and I've actually done nothing and just created a gigantic city instead. So on this one, this is basically like an asset test. I found recently that one of the modded houses was creating a graphical error, so I won't be including that on streams and stuff in the future. So often when I have new assets I want to test out, I will create an asset test city, and then I would just look around and see how well things work. You know, if I put like a new vehicle skin in, how often does it appear? Is it too much? Are we getting like the same of one vehicle all the time? And it also just gets me a chance to, you know, try out different road compositions, different things like this. So having created this one, I thought I'd just walk you around it because I thought people be interested to have a look and just listen to me talk about a few things. I'm not going to have it playing live like this because I'll just have too much sound from vehicles and cows and bloody who knows what. So this is the office district down here, obviously, and you can see it's coming on very well. It's pretty wealthy. We're getting some sort of larger blocks. These are obviously some put-in-place towers. There's not much to say about this, it's fairly just office generic, but we do have these nice little waterfront cafes, and this is a new asset that I brought in. And again, just testing how it works. You know, does it connect cleanly when you're sort of attaching it from water to land? Is it really a bit insane? Because, for example, like right here, see, it kind of glitches into the ground a little bit much. That's not really a major problem, but it's something to look at nonetheless. Another thing I was trying out were these little community medical centres. They are basically a much smaller medical centre. If we click on them, so you can see I've got a couple of these things dotted around, and the smaller medical centres like this one, they're about 200 upkeep a week, cost 4,500. They see a patient capacity of 40. They're mini hospitals for small areas, cheaper, but they take less patients. So the standard medical centre, you can see, it's basically about double. So it takes a patient capacity of 100, but the cost is extra as well. It's doubled, and so is the upkeep. So these things are basically a sort of half price deal, and that's pretty good because especially when you're starting out, you don't need that large medical centre, so you're saving yourself about half the money and stuff early on in the game. So when you're building a small community, also when you have a little community like right out here, you might not, I mean, I've just got one of those here. I don't really need that major medical facility, so it's a good thing, and also just adds some variation, you know. Similarly, we've got some extra fire department stuff in now. So along with the standard fire departments we also now have this one right here, the Zave Stansted fire station. It's more expensive. It's an airport fire station actually from Stansted Airport. But again, looking at the stats, the standard firehouse costs 12,000, upkeep is 560, fire engine capacity is 6. The Stansted one is 32k, upkeep is 800, and the fire engine capacity is 10. So it's got a little bit of an increase there, and but it's not as much as the big fire station, which has got double that capacity. It's got 25, well, more than double. It's got 25 fire engines, 60k, and it's 1440 on the upkeep. So it's a kind of middle ground fire station, and I think that's a really, you know, great and necessary thing to have. And you can see it looks pretty decent on the ground as well. So I've been trying that out. There's some other things as well, some different house styles and things like this. And again, it just adds some nice sort of variation. We got this little thing here. This is like a small park with parking, and it has these nice little parking spaces. It actually works really, really nicely, and I found it works really great around roundabouts because they can sort of park off of the roundabouts, and it creates this nice kind of central hub of wealth, if nothing else, as well. You can put the wealth on, and it creates like a nice sort of zone of wealth from putting lots of those parks together. Where else did I try that one out? Might be over here. Yeah. So again, look, you can see, again, it works nicely off these roundabouts, and I've just added in a couple of sort of cypress trees, these Mediterranean ones. This is, again, like an added asset. It's this Mediterranean cypress. These Mediterranean cypress are a really, really nice decorative tree. If I can find some, I might want to put one just right here, next to this little church. They're great for just putting alongside roads like this, and they sort of randomly change size. They just look really cool, and they just sort of add a little bit of difference to an area, so that's a nice thing as well. So in trying those out, this is a different type of school as well, just seeing how this one looks. This is an advanced elementary school. Again, it's just meant to be for sort of higher education-y, but you know, still at an elementary school level. So again, sometimes these things as well, they don't really add any improvement over some of the other, you know, mods or the other buildings, but it's just kind of cool to have them in there. You know, sometimes it's worth having things just for an aesthetic value. Looking down here as well towards, we've got a nice school. This is a sort of a high school, but it's got this kind of classical European style. It's just really, really nice. It's kind of like an international school. So yeah, that's kind of cool. It's a bit different than the standard block high school, you know. I've got some solar covered parking in here, the solar covered parking, which is pretty nice. Some vehicles. Let's look at vehicles if we can find some around here. That looks like the Fiat 500 2008 model I put in there. What else have we got? We've got this guy right here, the classic Volkswagen bus camper van. That looks like a Tesla Model S. We've got that in there as well. Right here we've got a Range Rover Evoque. And there's a couple of those around, Range Rovers, they're popping up and around town. And there is also somewhere there, got the old smart cars in there, so we've got smart cars. And these will all sort of change variety and colour as well. So there's lots of these little bits and pieces. There are some other vehicles around, but I probably can't find them offhand. There are some armoured cars now as well. We've got the TNT lorries. I've also got UPS lorries and various other sort of transport network things like that. There should be somewhere around. Oh, there he is. There he is. The Domino's pizza van. We've got the Domino's pizza vans in there now. There's a smaller TNT Sprinter. We've got the Volkswagen Transporter there in there too. Here is a Fed Up delivery truck. Got those in there. We should have as well. There's a DHL truck around. Yeah, here it is. DHL. Got the DHL truck. There are these ones. There's the these are like the Mercedes Sprinter ambulances. There's a couple of these kind of variations of vans and stuff. And there is also somewhere a Volvo lorry. It might be that. No, it's not those. Let's see it in this current traffic queue. It's usually around the industry areas. That's why I'm looking here. But I don't see it. Oh, there's a security van. It's a Brinks armoured car. So they go and sort of transport things around and money, obviously. Yeah, there's also a Volvo sort of articulated truck somewhere around, but I don't see it right now. So there's a couple of things that I'm trying out as well. Oh yeah, there's also this nice medium level. These guys. This one. It's a another style of police station. And it's just a little different than the standard police station model. So we can see right here, this one. That's your standard. I'm going to put them beside one another. That's your standard police station, and then this one is just a slightly different style. This is in the same style as the rural police station. So if I go to the rural police station, put that down. So this one, see, that's the rural police station, the small one. It's the same style, but just it has the same stats as the larger sort of medium level police station. So again, it's just if you wanted something stylistically different. What else have I been doing? Oh yeah, this thing as well. Many people have seen before the Chirpy Crisps factory, Colossal Mills. I just put that in there for some, you know, large action fun. There's some big recycling plants. I've also got some of these. These are the purification, the clarifiers. So that basically supplies water and also clarifies sewage. It's a little bit more expensive than having the stuff down at the river, but again, it's just a kind of aesthetic thing. It also produces physical waste, so it adds to your kind of general garbage. This thing down here is the geothermal power plant, which apparently is on fire. The geothermal power plant. Now my one caveat with this thing is it's basically like a stopgap between having an extremely large power plant or maybe nuclear or the hydro plants, right? So it's geothermal, it's making energy from the heat of the earth. But it is, I feel, a little OP. Looking at my power. Oh, and you can see this is another issue because I hadn't actually thought of this. But basically, let's just actually forward on here. See how quick it takes them to bring it. Look, there's a gigantic power outage right across the city. You see how much power that geothermal plant is providing for me? And there, it's back online now, and everything's going to come back online and connect up to the grid. So that thing is going to power right back up once everything gets on. But this thing is providing power for this entire city. Other than that, I only have a few windmills right here. And not to mention the fact that my budget for power, if you're wondering why you think, hey, that's actually not that high, Luton, it's because I have my budget for power right down, 85%. So if I bump this up to 100%, you can see this thing is actually, we're producing a massive amount of electricity. We're producing 690 megawatts and we require about 300. So it's actually producing about 300 megawatts extra. The plant itself is currently producing a power output of 481 megawatts. That is massive. It costs, so if we look at coal, 19,560 a week produces 40 megawatts. An oil power plant, 50,000, 2 grand a week, power output 120. The hydroelectric dam, it varies depending on how you have that set up, but the geothermal, 800 a week, produces 481. The oil, by comparison, costs 50k output, costs 2 grand a week. The coal, 500 a week. And the geothermal, 885k. So the initial cost is pretty high, but it only costs 800 a week, which is nothing. But that does make sense, because you're not really, it's a clean source of energy, so it makes sense that it's not going to cost much per week. But the power output is 480. Now, I don't know whether that's a realistic amount of electricity, but it is a massive amount of electricity. And so I built that pretty early on, and almost since I built that, I have not had any need to build any other power sources whatsoever. It has provided massive, power. Anyway, so other things to think about. Now, this tower right here, the Blue Rise Plaza, this has actually been a bit of a pain in the ass, this thing. I don't know whether I like this thing. It says make your city a little more blue with the Blue Rise Plaza, and it has tourists, but it's also kind of like a business thing. I don't know whether I like this thing, because it seems to continually have a massive crime rate. It's really, really irritating. You'll notice I've got a police station, 2 police stations, essentially right next door to this thing, and yet this thing has got a crime rate issue. Look around the city, you'll notice that there is no crime issues anywhere other than this tower. So either this tower breeds horrific corruption, or God knows what's going on. But I don't know. I don't know whether I really like it for this fact. It seems a little glitched or something, that it's having this crime rate issue when everything around it seems totally fine. So that's a little strange. In the industry side of things, I have added some more sort of custom buildings and things within industry. So you'll see a couple of these around. Some just variation here, some just little differences in buildings and things. And again, it's just been nice to have those differentiations between buildings. This thing is something that I put in on the current map, but it's really, really cool. The large water tower, it's kind of like Victorian style water tower. It's just absolutely awesome, looks great on the map. So I really love having that thing in there. This is a new thing as well that I've added. It's the Music Conservatory. Essentially has the same kind of stats and facility as a university, but it's the idea it's just for music. I would actually like to see some more of these, some really cool buildings that focus on just science, all these kind of different disciplines. And then into the sort of high-rise blocks. There are some different high-rise blocks, although off the top of my head I'd probably struggle to spot them. This one though is fairly familiar. This is a sort of it's a kind of Asian style block, the kind of Hong Kong style tower blocks that you will see. And they're pretty cool. They've got like little seating arrangements up on top. Then you've also got these ones. These are the kind of New York style, US cross style tower blocks. So there's a couple of different styles of these things going on here. And then of course we also have this one, the Strata Tower, which is actually not a great distance away from me in London. It's the one down at Elephant and Castle, this thing. So I wanted to get that in there as well. So a couple of different tower block styles coming in for the high density residences. There's other things as well, like this swimming club, which are really awesome. I had that before, but it's just a great model. I did have some slightly different industry things as well for ore processing, so there's a couple of different models in there, and again they're all working absolutely fine. I can't think there's much more to really talk about. Oh yeah, there is actually a couple of things. Where is that? Where is it? Was it down here? Oh yeah, this one's called Realistic Elementary School. Again, it has just slightly different stats and a slightly different look with the gated entrances and things, rather than the sort of open format of the other style. Let me just go to health a sec. Oh yeah, here's where I wanted to go. So basically, there's another style of cemetery as well. This one, a bit more classical style. It's called the Clickerson's Graveyard. The whole style of these things. So again, it's just got a different look and feel to this one. So it's just an aesthetic thing generally, but it's pretty cool to look at. There is also over here this thing. It's a church. It's actually this one. I don't actually like having this one in here because it basically it's classified under education, which I'm a bit like, what was the agenda of the person who designed this model? I don't know, but I'm not sure whether you would classify a church as an education building, but nonetheless it has a nice sort of aesthetic community feel to it, and so therefore it's in there. There's another style. This is like the little pod style. It's a modern style subway station. It's pretty nice. I actually have a couple of different styles of subway station going on here. Got the more industrial style subway stations somewhere here. Here it is. This one, it's a little sort of more metro station, small, little different style there. Trying to think what else we may have put in there. Oh yeah, I can remember. Oh yeah, down here. So again, within the forestry industry, if I can find some, where is it? Oh, here we are. So this one, these beautiful little pellet fuels limited. So different forest style, and it's just really cool. Nice looking building that. And there's a couple of these different ones around. So there's just some different styles. Oh, here we are as well. Yeah, this is a more older classical style sawmill that you can see, and I haven't actually got any agriculture on this map yet, but I've got also some sort of greenhouses which are yet to come in, and they're also made by the same person, so they should be pretty good. And there's also some sort of homestead style farm, so just that kind of difference between the more future stuff and the more standardized things. But that's generally how it is. Let's just talk really quickly about the map then. So this area right here is my office district. Then I've obviously got the forestry stuff. I've got some standard industry here, and the connections to the roads and stuff are all working pretty good. I've done a good job, I think, of keeping my road networks pretty neat. I'll actually sort of go on with these. This area tends to be the most congested, but it doesn't say congested permanently. Like, everything's moving, I find a lot of the time. You get a lot of traffic coming in and out of here because we've got the freight station. So this area tends to be like this. It tends to be heavy traffic. But I'm actually okay with that because, like I've said before, it's unusual in a city that you don't have heavy traffic at peak times. So I'm actually pretty cool with this. But I'm continually looking at how I can improve things here. But I find that it sort of waxes and wanes, and it never gets to a really crisis point. It tends to sort of, there you are, like you can see, it kind of keeps moving. There's often a period where it kind of stops for a while, but generally it keeps moving. That's really the only area that I have that's particularly bad. Everything else tends to keep moving pretty well. So I've been quite happy with the city in that sense. I've built some nice underground overpasses this time as well, which I find work quite well, particularly from this area here, because the garbage collection area has to service the whole city, and so that means it has to get over to this district, it has to get here, it has to go over there, it often has to travel to my second large recycling centre. I've got two big recycling centres, and the way that I did that was by creating these underpasses here. So this underpass goes across and it comes out over here. This enables them to get to this area of town without having to go all the way around the different junctions and stuff, which was clogging those junctions and taking a really long time. There's also a small underpass here to just go into the railway, and you can see the metro system running around. There's a couple of underpasses. There also is an underpass here where traffic comes through this junction, and it's its way of getting back onto the highway going in this direction. So rather than doing an overpass, because they can come off of this one and go around like that and come back on, well, here they go under and they come back on like that. So that works pretty good, and I was generally pretty happy with that. I mean, this I have to say, this junction, when I was looking at it yesterday, was actually not too bad, but now it's actually getting a bit worse. I would say my only issue on the city right now is probably this junction right here, and I can probably find various different ways of, maybe create some further junctions down here so it's a little bit quicker for them to get back on, or something along those lines anyway. The main issue actually is, to be honest, it's the traffic lights, but I was a bit reticent to remove. I mean, sometimes when you remove traffic lights, it actually makes things flow a lot better, but there's like so much traffic coming through here. There's also another underpassage, by the way, which goes from here, and it's actually a long tunnel. It goes all the way back over to here, I think. Where does it go even? Let's look. Oh, it connects to this one underground, that's right. So there's like an underpass here, and this road actually connects off of that. And it was a way, again, for people from this town to drive all the way through to this other area, and likewise coming back the same way. Okay, so you can see that removing the traffic lights has resolved that issue, for the large part anyway, but it does lead to some totally insane driving styles. Like, look at this, when you actually watch a junction like this without any traffic lights, it's kind of insane. Like, look at this, look, it's absolute anarchy, and I don't really like that. I would almost prefer to have queues and disciplined traffic, and same with this one. It would just be completely unrealistic for junctions like this to not have traffic lights. So, in a sense, I mean, you can see how these... Sorry, there we are. You can see how these junctions work. With traffic coming across, maybe they want to turn off. And even with the traffic lights, you still get some insane driving situations. But, I mean, you know, it's... Well, that DHL lorry was not messing around. Although it's kind of insane, I actually kind of don't mind it. You know, I don't mind these big traffic tailbacks because I encounter them all the time. You know, whenever it doesn't matter what city or town I'm in the UK, when you are driving around, and it doesn't even have to be at rush hour sometimes, when you're coming up to a junction like that in real life, that's the kind of traffic you get. Because when you have a high density traffic area and you're coming up to major junctions that connect to... Sorry for bumping the mic there. When you come up to major junctions or something, that's the kind of situation you're going to come across. So it's good to try and create solutions to get around it, but it's not like a super emergency unless it's stationary. And so yes, you have heavy traffic, but it's not the end of the world for me. So then going across here, you've got a kind of just general residential areas. There's sort of some low and higher wealth, but I have to say this area came up pretty high in the wealth. You can see the land value is pretty high across a lot of this district, and that's why I created these other areas out of town here, because it was really necessary to create some areas which were not high wealth as well. So yeah, it's just a lot of parks, a lot of nice buildings and some good services, and then we come into the more high density, high rise, high wealth areas, and it's all looking really nice, same as on this side as well. We've got ore up in the mountains, and that's what I've been creating up here, been creating our ore processing facilities, and I had to give these guys their own, what am I thinking? Their own sort of transport freight terminal, that's what I wanted to say. Their own cargo freight terminal, because what was happening, I found, was that all of the guys from here were driving down the highway, coming off here, and going to this freight terminal. So it was even worse than it already is over here. Right now, we do actually have a lot of sort of lumber coming across here, the forestry trucks. And the forestry trucks, see, are exporting forestry products. So it might be a good thing for us. Right now what they do is they're coming out of here, look, and they're all joining onto this connection right here. So I'm thinking what might be a good thing to do is to perhaps try and take those forestry vehicles out of there. Landfills and cemeteries have a limited capacity. Yeah, I think several of my cemeteries are basically full, I think, at this time. That's why bodies are piling up, but I'm not really playing today, so I don't really care. I'll fix it later. Anyway, so maybe resolving that forestry issue will be the thing to do. But anyway, that's our city right here, and you know, it's going pretty nicely. I think it's good, and looking at these assets has been a great thing so that I can bring them into the full game. So that was just a little overview of this city today, guys. Hope you enjoy, and join me next time for when we're back on with the actual progression of the story, the city that we're working on over there with feathered stones. So thanks for watching this. Drop a rating and discuss about the city, different assets. If you think there's an asset that I could be including into my city builds that I haven't considered and that you have experienced, please drop that in the notes below. I'll be sure to check it out. So very much thank you for watching. I'll see you next time for some more City Skylines.